Well, good afternoon. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 5th of November, and in my hometown right here it is a cool, rainy afternoon, and we're expecting some heavy rains. And of course in England it's Guy Fawkes Day. Remember the 5th of November. Anyway, what I wanted to do was give you a brief update on the Catalan situation, because Carles Puigdemont has gone into hiding. He is in a place called Sant Julià Ramis, and although he has indicated that he will be coming back to work, but the Spanish government has taken over the Catalan Parliament and all of the duties therein, and they will be ruling fairly quickly. Whether this man is going to get 30 years in jail for rebellion, and whether he has broken the 1978 constitution, that is basically the root of the problem here. They're declaring that Catalan had an illegal referendum. There are protests in Barcelona, and police have clashed with demonstrators, and of course this is a very, very, very tense situation. And so anyway, here is Mr. Puigdemont, and coming up next I have basically put together a collage of pictures to illustrate the history, and a brief documentary, and a wonderful article by Wolf Street about Catalonia and the possible fallout from all of this. Catalonia is an autonomous community of Spain located on the northeastern extremity of the Iberian Peninsula. It is one of Spain's 8 communities which are designated as a nationality by their Statute of Autonomy. Catalonia consists of 4 provinces: Barcelona, Girona, Lleida and Tarragona. The capital and largest city is Barcelona, the second most populated municipality in Spain and the core of the 7th most populous urban area in the European Union. Catalonia comprises most of the territory of the former Principality of Catalonia, with the remainder, Roussillon, now part of France's Pyrenees Orientals. It is bordered by France and Andorra to the north, the Mediterranean Sea to the east, and the Spanish autonomous communities of Aragon to the west and Valencia to the south. The official languages are Catalan, Spanish, and the Aranese dialect of Occitan. In the late 8th century, the countries of the March of Gothia and the Hispanic March were established by the Frankish kingdom as feudal vassals across the near and eastern Pyrenees as a defensive barrier against Muslim invasions. The eastern countries of these marches were united under the rule of the Frankish vassal, the Count of Barcelona, and were later called Catalonia. In 1137, Catalonia and the Kingdom of Aragon were united by marriage under the Crown of Aragon, and the Principality of Catalonia became the base for the Crown of Aragon's naval power and expansionism in the Mediterranean. In the later Middle Ages, Catalan literature flourished. Between 1469 and 1516, the King of Aragon and the Queen of Castile married and ruled their kingdoms together, retaining all their distinct institutions, courts, parliament and constitutions. During the Franco-Spanish War, 1635 to 1659, Catalonia revolted, which was during 1640 to 1652 within the larger war, against the large and burdensome presence of the Royal Army in its territory, becoming a republic under French protection. Within a brief period, France took full control of Catalonia, at a high economic cost for Catalonia, until it was largely reconquered by the Spanish army under the terms of the Treaty of the Pyrenees in 1659, which ended the wider Franco-Spanish War. The Spanish crown ceded the northern parts of Catalonia, mostly incorporated in the country of Roussillon, to France during the War of the Spanish Succession, 1701 to 1714. The Crown of Aragon sided against the Bourbon Philip V of Spain, whose subsequent victory led to the abolition of non-Castilian institutions in all of Spain and the replacement of Latin and other languages such as Catalan with Spanish in legal documents. In the 19th century, Catalonia was severely affected by the Napoleonic and the Carlist Wars. In the second half of the century, Catalonia experienced significant industrialization as wealth from the industrial expansion grew. Catalonia saw cultural renaissance coupled with incipient nationalism. While several workers' movements appeared in 1914, the four Catalonian provinces formed. In 1914, the four Catalan provinces formed a commonwealth, and with the return of democracy during the Second Spanish Republic, 1931 to 1939, the Generalitat of Catalonia was restored as an autonomous government after the Spanish Civil War. The Francoist dictatorship enacted repressive measures, abolishing Catalan institutions and banning the official use of the Catalan language again. From the late 1950s through the early 1970s, Catalonia saw rapid economic growth, drawing many workers from across Spain, making Barcelona one of Europe's largest industrial metropolitan areas and turning Catalonia into a major tourist destination. Since the Spanish transition to democracy 1975 to 1982, Catalonia has regained considerable local autonomy in political, educational, environmental and cultural affairs, and is now one of the most economically dynamic communities in Spain, which would explain exactly why Spain does not want to let Catalonia go. Okay, so here is an article from the editor of Wolf Street, Don Quijones. Spain just lit a fuse under Catalonia, its richest region. It's amazing how fast the wheels of the Spanish justice system go round when the establishment wants them to, and how slowly they revolve when it doesn't, which is usually when members of the same establishment, senior politicians and civil servants, bankers, business owners or even royalty are in the dock, which is happening with disturbing regularity these days. On Thursday we saw Spanish justice at its fastest. In the docks was the recently sacked Vice President of Catalonia's separatist government, Oriol Junqueras, and 7 other elected representatives of the breakaway region who stand accused of a litany of charges including rebellion, which carries a maximum sentence of 30 years imprisonment. The counsel for the defence had less than 24 hours to prepare the case. After just a few hours of hearing preliminary evidence, the National Court judge sent half of the Catalonia's suspended government to jail without bail. The same judge issued an international arrest warrant for Carles Puigdemont, the disputed Catalan president who fled to Brussels on Monday, as well as 4 other former ministers who did not show up to court on Thursday. Catalonia's separatist politicians are paying a very high price for overplaying their hand. As we warned months ago, many in the Catalan government had hoped that threatening to declare independence unilaterally or even following through on the threats, which it kind of did on Friday, might be enough to push the Spanish government into having to compromise. It was a massive bluff and it's hugely backfired. But while jailing Catalonia's elected government may be justifiable by Spanish law and probably go some way to placating the more revanchist elements of the Spanish public, it will also further inflame tensions and polarised divisions within Spain's northeastern region, while doing yet more damage to the tattered image of Spanish democracy in the rest of the world. It also risks exacerbating economic uncertainty and instability in Catalonia, Spain's richest region. Just when things appear to be returning to some semblance of normality as local people and the region's political parties turned their attention to the regional elections scheduled for December 21st, Rajoy, his government, and the judges they help appoint just lit a fuse under the region. In Catalonia today, it's virtually impossible to tell what will happen tomorrow, let alone this time next month or next year. Such acute uncertainty is like sand in the gears of the local economy. Rather than slowing the exodus of Catalan-based companies to other parts of Spain, has actually accelerated in the wake of Madrid's activation of Article 155 of Spain's constitution. On Tuesday alone, an additional 99 companies bid farewell to Catalonia, albeit merely on paper for now. Spain's central bank yesterday warned the current crisis could, in the worst case scenario, end up shaving 2.5 percentage points off Spain's GDP in the next 2 years. That could be very optimistic if a genuine lasting solution is not found to this crisis soon, and preferably one that does not involve the government in Madrid criminalising a political movement supported by roughly half the region's population. The greatest tragedy of all, as British-Spanish journalist John Carlin wrote yesterday in the Barcelona daily La Vanguardia, is just how spectacularly unnecessary the current conflict is and how easily it could all have been avoided. First, with the change of the sacred text of the Spanish Constitution and the approval of an agreed referendum, just as any other modern and democratic state, Canada, United Kingdom, would have done in similar circumstances, but it could have been avoided with even less, with merely conciliatory gestures and respectful words, with the granting of extra powers to the autonomous Catalan region, with a minimum of statesmanship, with the desire to think first of the general good. Instead, what we have is a constant escalation of tensions from a government majority ruled by a party, Popular Party, that is implicated in over 60 major political scandals, more than just about any other governing party in Europe, and yet even as the party continually falls on the wrong side of the law, the EU holds it up as a defender of the rule of law. Spain's Premier, Mariano Rajoy, recently became the first sitting Prime Minister to appear as a witness in a Spanish court when he gave evidence in a massive corruption case involving the alleged illegal financing of his Popular Party. One of the dozens of companies embroiled in the Popular Party's kickback scandals is Indra, a semi-state-owned tech giant that organises the vote counting for virtually all of Spain's political elections, including, you guessed it, Catalonia. I'm just going to say that again. So the government is involved in a company called Indra, a semi-state-owned tech giant that organises the vote counting for virtually all of Spain's political elections, including Catalonia. The company is alleged to have paid Rajoy's party €600,000 of public funds diverted through a complex network of shell companies. The scandal barely graced the front pages of Spain's newspapers. Now Indra gets to organise the vote counting for Catalonia's do-or-die elections in December. Whoa! Of course, that will be all upright and above board and completely transparent, right? That's what we're going to be getting from Indra. Right? For years, this sort of corruption has consistently ranked as the second biggest cause for concern after unemployment in Spain. Now it's the prospect of Catalan independence that's at the forefront of people's minds. It's the perfect smokescreen for the endless corruption trials of politicians. The stagnating wages, the ballooning public debt, the collapsing banks and the shrinking pension pot that the government has systematically plundered to plug some of its own massive fiscal shortfalls. In short, Spain's economy is perhaps not as robust as recent growth figures may suggest. Unemployment, already at a staggering 17.1%, surged by 58,000 in October as the number of highly seasonal tourist-dependent jobs began shrinking. Market entry salaries are 14% lower than they were in 2008. Worse still, the economy's recent show of strength was based on three main pillars: consistently low global energy prices, the large-scale diversion of tourists from geopolitical hotspots like Turkey and Egypt, and dirt-cheap public debt resulting from Mario Draghi's massive binge buying of Eurozone sovereign bonds. And all of these pillars are beginning to show signs of strain. As tensions continue to rise in Catalonia, the economic uncertainty digs in for the long haul. Emotions are running high on both sides of the divide. So there you go. So I hope you liked that little piece and found it informative, and again, as I said, it's actually incredible, and of course this is very interesting for people in Canada, okay, because we have had these similar situations with Quebec. Quebec sovereignty is an ongoing issue in Canada, and we had a referendum where basically they lost by one vote. Okay, so you've got a 50-50 split in Quebec who want to separate and have their independence. And it would be interesting to see what Canada would do if that actually happened, if Quebec went ahead and just said that's it, we're separating, whether we would see the same kind of armed crackdown and forceful arrests. As I say, there have been several ministers have been put into jail without bail, pending hearings. Several other ministers have been had to surrender their passports so they can't leave the country. And of course, as I said, the Prime Minister is in hiding. So yes, it would be interesting to see what Canada would do. And what has been said is it's amazing how quickly government can act when it's threatened and when it has an issue that is close to its heart. And I hope we're all recognising that little subtle detail that's in there, because it's actually outrageous how quickly they can move when they absolutely have to, and how slowly they move when it's got anything to do with the good of the public. So government appears to be more about defending itself than defending the rights of the individual and thinking for the greater good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and we will talk soon. I think I'm going to do another little video later on, roundup of the news, lots of that going on too. Okay, dokie, so we will talk later. You take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. Thank you for your support. Thank you to all my new subscribers. We're rocketing towards 1,400 subscribers right now. And so thank you very much for the support and the continued watching. And if you do like these videos, please do that little bell and you will not miss any of my updates. Okay, so you take care. You have a great afternoon, and we'll talk soon. See ya.